Okay, section 4.7 is about looking at lines that are in standard form. Now, standard form means that the x and the y are both on the same side of the equation and the number or the constant is on the other side. Very different from slope-intercept form, okay? And so sometimes this is how we get them in applications, and we can graph these pretty easily by using the intercepts. So the x-intercept would be when y equals 0. So the x-intercept is, the x-intercept is on this line, that's where y equals 0. Okay, so if we put 0 in here, we would be left with ax equals c, and x, if you divided by a, you would get c divided by a. So it's always going to be this number divided by that. And the y-intercept, now you know what that is, that's where x equals 0. So we'll put the 0 where the x is, and if we do that, then we've got by equals c divided by b, and y equals c divided by b. That means this number divided by that. So it doesn't, you don't have to know this, but that's what we're going to be using. So let's see what happens. Okay, so when you want to sketch an equation of a line in standard form, we find the x and y intercepts, and you don't have to do this. At the end, I'll show you the solve for y and use slope-intercept. So again, you have a choice. But let's suppose you had this line right here. Now, something special about this line is the coefficients, which are like a and b, are 2 and 3. They both divide evenly into 6, and that's when this method is the shortest. Okay? So let's get the x-intercept would be where y is 0. So if I put 0 here, 3 times 0 is 0, I have 2x equals 6. 2x equals 6, so x equals 3. So if y equals 0, x equals 3. And now let's do the other way. If x equals 0, that means this would be 0. I would be left with 3y equals 6, or y equals 2. Now, some people can just do this in their head. They can cover up the y and say, oh, 2 times x is 6, x is 3. Oh, 3 times y is 6, y is 2. And then they get these 2 points, and they're 0, 2, 3, 0, and they have this equation of the line. And then if you can find a third point on there to check, it's kind of, you have to draw it really straight and really exact, which I didn't do. Okay, so we won't check this one, but let's do another one. So here, look at 4, and what's the number in front of y? That's a -1. And they both divide into 8. This is a good candidate for this problem. Okay, so x and y. Let's suppose, this time let's do x first. If x is 0, then we have -y equals 8 divided by -1. Y equals -8. Okay, and now let's do, if y is 0, then we have 4x equals 8, x equals 2. And you can see this is a rather quick way to graph a line. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put a point at 8, and oops, wrong one, Marge, it's negative besides that. 0, -8, do it right if you're going to do it. And then 2, 0 is my x, and then this would be mine. So you can see the slope of that line is up 8 over 2. Okay? And let's see, I'm going to go back a little bit to vertical and horizontal lines, just to remind you of those. Okay, so this is an easy, here's my x-axis, here's my y-axis. Okay. All right, and this is my line right here. And it's vertical. Okay, and that one will be horizontal. So I'm looking at my x-axis and my y-axis. Okay, do you remember how to write the equation of a vertical line? Well, if you look at every single point on that line, they're all equal to -3. If you did all the points, it would be -3, 0, -3, 1, -3, anything. So the equation is x equals -3. So remember, vertical is the top half, vertical is -3. This is horizontal. If you look at any point on that line, let's see, let's move up 4. So 0, 4, 1, 4, 4, 2, 4, any of those points, and that equation is y equals 4. Okay, so this is just a reminder of these. So if I asked you to sketch these following equations, you would look at them and say, ooh, there's no slope on there, there's no x, that means it's 0. And that means it's horizontal. Okay, and you look at this one and you say, uh-oh, there's no y, there's no y-intercept, that means that it's a vertical line. Just remember that. Okay, so we can just sketch these. Y equals -3, here's -3, here's x, here's y, and that's my line. X equals -4, that's the one that goes up and down. Here's -4, here's my x, y, and there's my line. And x equals +1, that's just right here at 1, 0. There you go. Okay, let's do a little application. This is an equation that models the total cost y in dollars for towing a car X miles. So how much do you think it costs per mile? Okay, that would be the 3. So it's $3 per mile, right? And what is the y-intercept now? It says to find the y-intercept. And as we know, it's already in, how do we know this is in slope-intercept form? Because the y is all by itself, okay? Which is very unlike what we started with. See how the y has a number in front? These are not slope-intercept form because the x and y are on the same side. That's called standard form, okay? So this one's back into slope-intercept form, which is very nice because my slope is 3, my y-intercept is 0, 80, and it says find the y-intercept and interpret its meaning. So 0, 80 is my y-intercept, and what does that mean? What does the 0 mean, and what does the 80 mean? Well, y is dollars, so it's got to mean dollars. We're towing a car X miles, so X is miles. So I have to pay $80 for no miles, just for the guy to come and hook up my car, 0 miles. That's what that means. And then, of course, $3 per every mile after that. Okay. And I think that here's 2 more practices. Okay. So if we had 6x minus 2y equals 6, you can look and see, oh, these are both go into 6 evenly, so I can cover up the 0 on the x, and I get -2y equals 6, divide by -2, and I get y equals -3, and cover up the y for 0, and 6x equals 6, x equals 1. And you can see why, if they don't come out even, this is not a great method, okay? And I'm going to do one of those at the very end here, okay? So these, again, these work just fine. If I cover up the x with 0, I get 3y equals 6, or y equals 2. And if I cover up the y, I get -x equals 6, divided by -1, x equals -6. So these are 0, -3, 1, 0. And this is 0, 2, -6. Okay? So let's do one more problem. Let's see, we have the first number is always -3. We better do this one first. So we got -3, -3, -3, -3, -3. I think x equals -3. So that's going to be a vertical line at -3. Okay, so go ahead and just do this on the back. Let's suppose we had something like -2x plus 5y equals 4. And you were supposed to graph this line. Is it a good idea to use the intercept method? Cover up 0, 5 times what is 4? That's a fraction, and that's when you say, nope, let's go back to y equals mx plus b. And by the way, you can always do it this way. Move your x over, 5y equals 2x. Divide by 5, 2/5 x plus, and there you have your y-intercept. See how it was going to be 4/5? It still is, but at least you can just put a point at 4/5. And then you go up 2 over 5. So we go up 2 over 5. That. And there we go. And that is your standard form of the equation.